are listening to Living with ADHD and CPTSD, available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. So we have another ADHD episode today, and I'm going to talk about something that I think needs to be said because I'm noticing a lot of situations here, especially in social media, where people, they're not really taking ownership of their ADHD. And so instead of, realizing what they need to do in order to make their lives better and try to be more responsible for their, I guess if you want to call it, life, and take responsibility to make sure that they have the most productive life possible, they sit back and they do a lot of complaining. Now, I don't mean that everybody out there deserves to complain about their life. I know a lot of people have issues when it comes to getting a job, quality, being treated fairly just like everybody else does. And I understand that. Not everybody gets treated the same. We struggle for rights when it comes to our employment. We have had a lot of progress when it comes to that. For many places in the world, we can't be fired or let go of our job because of our ADHD. That's discrimination, and that would be something that needs to be looked at if that ever actually does happen. Although not every country and not every company out there will value and honor that. And so they find ways to make excuses up to let you go and say, oh, it wasn't because of your ADHD, blah, blah, blah. It was because of this or that. And so they find ways to manipulate the system. The unfortunate thing is there's no real way to prove it. You can't, unless you've got a secret recording in the office somewhere of your manager, discussing with another person that oh, I think we need to let him go. His ADHD is causing some issues. So, but we'll make up something so that we don't have to worry about the legal ramifications. It's very unlikely that someone's going to have that recording. Now, unless the other person that they're talking to says, this isn't right, and steps up and decides to take a stand, there's a good chance that it's not going to work well. But that's not what I'm necessarily talking about. I'm not talking about getting fired, being treated improperly by your employer. I'm talking about things like, what do we do to make up for the fact that we are disabled? You know that you have ADHD. I know that I have ADHD. We all have symptoms and things that occur because of it that affect the quality of life for each of us. Now, the key here, though, is what do we do about it? Do we sit and complain and use it as an excuse, or do we find ways to, work around it, to adapt, to make the changes necessary to give us a better chance at becoming more successful or have a better life or make less mistakes? A lot of us with ADHD have a tendency to be forgetful or have a lack of focus when it comes to certain things like discussion, our work, tasks that we're working on in the moment. And we need to find ways to, adapt our lifestyle to try and avoid repeating these problems. For example, if we have a hard time remembering something, we have to find a way to help us remember it. Now, I don't mean like constantly having a recording in the background being played saying, hey, don't forget, 3:00, go get go buy the groceries, or you got to go and get your medication at the pharmacy, and every 5 minutes reminding you, or somebody sitting there reminding you. You have to find a way to allow, to help you. So there are many different ways. Reminders, using our cell phone, right? Like getting a little reminder app that, let's say if our work ends at 4:30 and we need to go and get our medication before the store closes, we have to create a reminder for, let's say, 4:40, saying, hey, remember to go get your medication. All right, great. So you kind of have that, it triggers your mind into going, okay, let's go get the medication. Thank God I had that reminder. So you could also at home use your phone and work reminders. You can, do little sticky notes. But the thing is that not everybody out there, when it comes to our disability, is willing to make that kind of a sacrifice, or that kind of, do that hard work to make up for it. They sit back and they use the excuse, oh, my ADHD, it makes me forget. So that's just the way it is. Or, and then they expect the person that they're telling it to feel sorry for them, or to say, well, it's okay. Tell you what, I'll go get it for you, okay? And then you don't have to worry about it. Or all sorts of they change their behaviors, they change their attitude or their tone because, oh, this person has ADHD, so we need to treat them differently. Well, you know what? That's just illogical, and that's playing, in my opinion, playing the victim. So it's better if, instead of allowing ourselves to be the victim and allowing people to treat us differently and think of us as, neurodiverse or different or not as smart or not as capable, we need to instead be reactive and proactive. Sorry, not reactive. Excuse me. Reactive is the opposite. Yeah. We need to be proactive in our life. We need to realize and understand that, yes, we're going to have a hard time remembering things. So we have to find a way to adapt. So we make the reminders. Or if we have tasks, let's say we're getting, the understanding and the agreement for the morning is that we're going to take the garbage from the kitchen and we're going to empty out the bins and into the bag, and we're going to take it to the back and put it in the green bin or into the garbage bins, because tomorrow is the pickup day for garbage and recycling and the organics bin. So we can't forget, because our garbage bin's already full, or it's getting full, and another week of garbage is not going to work. So we've got to make sure we remember to get that all put out. Now, if you realize that you're going to have the likelihood of getting up in the morning, doing all the preparation for work, right? You get up, you go into the washroom, clean the face off, give yourself a bit of a refresh. Maybe you have a shower, and then you go and make breakfast and make a coffee and sit and relax for a few minutes and eat your breakfast and have your coffee. And then you look at the time and go, okay, work's in 40 minutes, got to go get dressed. And so, your brain is focusing on the getting dressed part, choosing the pair of pants and the shirt and perhaps the tie that you're going to wear, and here's the thing. On top of it all, you have to make sure that you have like the keys for your car. Maybe you take the bus, so you've got to have your bus pass. You've got to have your lunch. You got to make sure you've got your phone, or maybe your, like the door key to get inside the building you work in. And there's a good chance that you're going to walk right out that door and you're never going to remember to take the garbage and recycling out to the back. And then your wife or your husband or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, or your roommate is going to get upset. And when you get home, they're going to say, you forgot to take the garbage out. And you said you would. And then you go, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. And yeah, sure, the first couple times, the excuse of, oh, I forgot is going to be valid. But the thing is how many times does the excuse of I forgot stay as a valid excuse before your roommate or your wife or girlfriend or whoever is like, you know what, this isn't, I can't do this. I'm getting tired of the fact that you are forgetting every week to put the garbage and the recycling out in the back, even though you promised that you will. Why aren't you doing something about it to make sure you remember? So there's one of two ways that you can respond. You can either say, shit, you're right. I'm sorry. I know. I'm having a hard time remembering. We got to come up with something. We got to find out a way to so that I can't forget next time. Or you do the, well, hey, what do you expect? I have ADHD. I'm going to forget. Like, get off my back, right? Like, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to remember all this stuff. And so you're falling back on the excuse that your ADHD is the reason why you're forgetting. So your girlfriend or your wife or your roommate are either going to, if they're too nice and they don't want to have a fight, they're going to say, oh, fine, and then may end up doing it for you or taking the responsibility away. Or instead of, just being nice, maybe they're like someone who doesn't want to be nice. Maybe they're saying, no, you're going to do it. I had enough. Either you remember or I'm done. And so now that puts pressure on you. And now you either have to respond in the right way and going, all right, okay, you're right, I'm sorry. Let's figure out something. Maybe I'll make a reminder. Maybe we need to make a visual cue reminder at the door so that when I go out the door, it says, remember to take garbage and recycling to the back. And then you go, oh, right, oops, yeah, okay, let's go grab it. Or you're proactive and you don't need to have your partner threaten you or have to constantly remind you, and you do it yourself. You say, okay, so I leave at 7:45 each morning. On Wednesday, the garbage has to go out. I'm going to make a reminder on my phone for the time that I go out the door. I'm also going to make a visual cue at the door. And what we can do is we could put the bags at the door or next to the door so that I can't forget. That's being responsible and finding a way to adapt to the conditions of your disability, not falling back on it and making an excuse or playing the victim game. We don't really want to be that way. That's not the right way to go about this. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who find that that's just how they're going to live their life. Instead of taking responsibility for their disability and doing whatever they can to make life easier for themselves and their partner or family, they fall back on the whole, it's my ADHD. I can't do anything about it. Sorry, that's just the way it is. That's not going to fly. That's not acceptable, and we need to change that. And I get that it might be hard because you're so used to having people look after you and do things for you and realize that, okay, this person is constantly forgetting to do stuff. Well, why don't we just make it easier on them so that they don't have to do it? And then we'll just do it for them. the thing is, that's not acceptable. There's a lot of, well, fortunately for them, there are a lot of people out there who won't put their foot down and make the choice or say, look, you got to do the right thing. It's one or the other. No more of this letting, me have to do it because you can't remember. So they force you to do it. That's the wrong way to do this. You need to be the one who's taking responsibility for your behavior, for your actions, to make sure that you do the right thing, to remember that you've got things that you need to do, to make sure you complete your tasks, to make sure that you don't get distracted, or that if you do get distracted by what you're doing, that there are things that are in place to remind you to go back, or that will, trigger you out of this distraction that you've been put into or that has come up, to say, oh, right, yes, sorry, I got to go back and take care of this. I almost forgot. You need these things in place so that you can remember. It's just like if you go to work and you have to drive your vehicle, you have to, first off, remember where to park it. Remember to pay for your parking, unless, of course, you pay for monthly. And then if you have to renew your parking, you've got to find ways to make sure that you remember to renew your parking every however many hours, or, you must make sure that you have things in place so that you can remember that you have to do this. Oh, the alarm goes off on your phone. Hey, remember, time to renew your parking amount. Otherwise, you're going to get a ticket or you might get your car towed. Or, hey, this is, like a lot of smartphones have map programs that will actually give you the location of where your car is parked in case you forget. I know that I have on a few times when I've gone to the mall, like an hour and a half or 2 hours later, have come out and I'm kind of like, where did I park? I know it's roughly in this area. At least I think it is. And I've forgotten. And I'm within the vicinity. I think I'm about 3 or 4 rows away. And I'm getting there. But my brain is like, it just can't narrow it down. And I'm looking this way to my right. And then I'm like, wait a sec. Did I park here? You're stuck and you're having a hard time. There's nothing in your brain that's kind of triggering that memory. So if that's the case, especially let's say it's cold, or let's say you've got your partner with you and it's really cold outside and you're trying to get to the car, you want to get in, get it warm, right? Like you don't like to freeze, and your partner definitely doesn't want to get cold, and they're going to get angry at you because they're starting to freeze. They're realizing, okay, this guy, he can't remember where his car is. Well, that's just great. I'm sitting out here freezing my ass off, and he can't remember where his car is. So you got to find an adaptation to tell you where you parked your car. And so I have both on my phone, I have Google Maps, and I also happen to have Apple Maps, and they both do it. So either if one of them doesn't, then the other one will help me remember where my car is in case I come out and my brain just can't think of it. We all have, well, not everybody, but most of us who suffer from ADHD, we have this tendency to just kind of forget stuff, right? Like we have a discussion, or we are leaving work and we go and we know that we have to, let's say your partner says, okay, can you I need you to pick up some more some more garbage bags from the store. We're out and I need some because I need to throw some stuff out today. It's kind of backing up. So don't forget. And of course you go, yeah, I won't. Right. And then you walk out the door half thinking about it, and work is over and you leave, and well, you know what's going to happen. You go home, you walk in the door, and she goes, "Did you get the grocery bags?" Or the garbage bags? And your first thought is, "Damn it. No. Sorry, I didn't." And either she's going to be like, "Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, go get them. It's no big deal." Or they're going to, if it's like the fifth time that you've forgotten, and it doesn't necessarily have to be garbage bags either. It could be something else, that she is going to get angry, right? Are they going to go, "How many times are you going to forget that you need to get this garbage bag?" It's just like everything else. I always tell you to do something and then you forget. And you come home after work and you end up having to go out. So now dinner's delayed, or it's going to get cold. Maybe we need something right. I need dinner and you forget it. So now you got to go out and now dinner's going to wait and it can't get done on time. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and argue and blame your ADHD? Or are you going to finally smarten up and get out there and go, "Okay, yeah, I need to remember to, when I'm going out the door first thing in the morning, have a note or put on my phone, pick up garbage bags on your way home from work." So that when you do get out of the door and you're going to your car or you get into your car, suddenly you've got a reminder saying, hey, don't forget, gotta go get the garbage bags. So then you go, "Aha, right, yeah, okay." And then you go. You can't sit back and use your disability as an excuse to validify why things happen and that it's okay. And that nobody should get upset or call or consider you to be unreliable or untrustworthy because you keep forgetting or you don't realize that this is what you have started and you've left that in the middle of the project and you completely got distracted and went to do something else. You have to be proactive and adapt your lifestyle to avoid these kind of mistakes. Because if you don't, it's just going to keep happening. And it might be okay at the beginning, but the reality is that it's going to catch up. Because, there are people out there who are going to be accommodating, and no matter what you do, they're never going to get mad. They're always going to make up, or take care of it for you. But that's not a good way to live. And not everybody who's out there is going to put up with that. My partner doesn't put up with that. If I keep forgetting stuff, she's not going to continue to go, "Oh, it's okay. I understand. No big deal. Next time," with a happy voice and a smile on her face. No, maybe the first time or two. But when you start getting to that fifth and sixth time that you've forgotten to do something when you said you would, it's a completely valid reason for her to get upset and to start getting angry at you. It's time. And to be honest, if you realize that you have a habit of forgetting something, or you are told that you need to do something, or that you have to go get something, whether it's work or at home, and you're noticing that you are forgetting to do these things regularly, don't wait for someone else to say something. You need to do it yourself. You need to find any way that you can. Like I said earlier, your phone is probably your best tool when it comes to reminding you of things that you need to do. You have other ways. You can, like I said, you could do visual reminders. You can have sticky notes. You can put notes that are tacked onto the doors. You can have like a whiteboard that you write stuff on. You can put the whiteboard on the fridge. You could put them near the door. You can have them next to the bedroom, the bed on the nightstand. There's all kinds of ways that you can adapt to make sure that, the odds of forgetting something are really, really small. Rather than just, saying, "Well, it's my ADHD, why are you bugging me for? Just, get off my back, blah, blah, blah." That's, okay. in my opinion, that's a loser's attitude. You need to be the one that's going to make the change, that's going to do the right thing and find ways to make up for your disability. You know that you have ADHD, whether it's inattentive, hyperactive, combination. We're all different levels of ADHD. Some have it a lot worse than others. But think about this. You got to remember to take your medication, right? So are you going to sit there and say, oh, I keep forgetting to take my medication, this isn't working? Or are you going to say, enough is enough? Make a reminder on your phone. Put your medication in a place that you're going to definitely see it. Find ways to adapt so that you will not forget to take your medication. It's not an excuse. The whole point of the medication is to help you to be able to accommodate and to make life easier, to make it better or easier for you to focus on what you're doing. And it helps with other areas of your ADHD. There's no point in taking it if you're never going to remember. And you got to make it work. Remember to do it. Don't just sit there and rely on your memory because your memory's not going to work. Do something about it. Phone reminders, sticky notes. Put it in a good spot that you're going to see it. I remember seeing a video, Jessica McCabe, who is the creator of How to ADHD, she has a video out where she shows her house, and she has the house set up to accommodate and adapt for her ADHD. She can see where everything is, like she has window doors and everything's out in the open. It isn't like hidden away because like a lot of you out there, I have this when, if I can't see it, I forget about it. If it's not out in the open, there's a good chance I'm not going to remember. So you got to have it out there so that you can see it and it, you get your visual cues and your reminders. That's how you'd make it work. You got to find ways to make life easier. You got to find ways to adapt to get yourself better prepared for each day so that you don't have these things go wrong. The attitude that it's my ADHD and that's just the way it is doesn't fly. You can't fall back on that because if you continue to fall back, it's going to do is it's just going to cause more and more disappointments, more and more failures, failed relationships, failed friendships. You're going to get continually fired from jobs. It could just be disastrous for you and for your family and for other people in your life. You have to do the right thing. And that's by making adaptations to make your life with ADHD easier. Simple as that. And that is another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. Well, I hope you enjoyed this particular episode. If you have any comments or questions or maybe a suggestion for my podcast, there are a number of ways to get a hold of me. First, you can email me. It's livingwithadhdandcptsd@gmail.com. You can contact me on Twitter. My handle is @ADHDandCPTSD. You can also get a hold of me on Mastodon, which is a new social media website that is kind of taking over a little bit for Twitter. If you look up Living with ADHD and CPTSD at mastodon.world, then you can find me there, you can follow me, and you can give me a shout and let me know what you think. You can also go to my website. It's www.livingwithadhdandcptsd.ca. And you can also check out my YouTube page. It's at Living with ADHD and CPTSD. If you would like to donate to help my cause for my podcast, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/livingwithadhdandcptsd and CPTSD. You can also go to my Patreon page, Living with ADHD and CPTSD, and become a member, where you get special access to all early episodes, plus Merchandise. You can purchase merchandise to support this podcast. So, go to Patreon. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.